It's always the new customers who cause trouble. Understandable, I get it. The bar I run isn't exactly set up to cater to those who think their shit don't stink. And it sure as fuck ain't tourist friendly.
What do you mean?
The woman asks, her lip pulled up in a sneer.
Do you really think I'm gonna tell you a secret?
I shrug and start to walk away.
Hey!
The woman snaps. Heads along the bar turn in her direction. I don't.
I said hey!
He ain't gonna talk to you, lady,
Norman says from his perpetual seat, the third bar stool from the end, closest to the bathroom.
I did not ask you, thank you very much,
The woman says.
just trying to help.
Norman says, and returns to his rum and coke. It's well liquor and generic cola that gets shot out of the fountain with a Coke label still on it. Norman doesn't care.
Need another?
I ask Lucinda when I reach the very end of the bar. Lucinda is on the other side of 60. She's been here at the bar for as long as I've been running the place. 20 years now? 25? Something like that.
Lucinda?
I ask when she doesn't look up from her empty glass.
Another G&T?
She sniffs, and I can see a smear of red just under her right nostril. I lean my arms on the bar and get close to her.
Lucinda,
I whisper.
you good, lady?
She shakes her head no.
What's got you troubled?
I ask, my voice still quiet, so the words are only for her.
Hey, bartender, are you going to serve me or what?
The woman won't give up. I hold up a finger, but don't look over my shoulder at her. My attention is on Lucinda.
Something I can help with?
I ask Lucinda. She gives a very, very slight shrug. That's when it clicks. I push back from the bar and frown at her. Then I go to the ledger that sits on the back counter under the shelves of liquor, right where a cash register would be. Thumbing through quickly, I ignore all the names until I reach hers. Lucinda Eloise Satine. Her tally is 0.
Ah,
I say when I turn back to Lucinda.
you're all out of credit.
She gives a barely perceptible nod.
There are always other bars.
I say, and aim my chin at the ebony door only a few feet away from her. She shakes her head.
They take cash.
I say.
Which is what I want to pay with.
The annoying woman shouts.
You still here?
Norman asks her.
Shut up, old man.
The annoying woman barks.
Hold on.
I say to Lucinda, then throw a bar towel over my shoulder and walk back to the annoying woman.
Finally.
She snarls at me and waves a fistful of 20s in my face. I shove her hand away and her eyes go wide with anger and fear.
Don't you touch me!
She screeches. Then she points at a table where 3 other women of her type all sit and glare in my direction.
We are all thirsty and have been waiting. And if you don't serve us right now, we will leave the worst Yelp review this place has ever gotten.
She takes a step back and cocks her hip like she's won some great battle.
We aren't on Yelp,
I say.
and you don't have to drink here. Go somewhere else if you can't pay the price.
I hook a thumb over my shoulder at the sign above the bar. Drinks equals secrets. Sliding scale. 4 to 6 Monday through Sunday. 2 for 1 happy hour.
Yeah, we saw that.
She snaps.
What does that even mean?
It means we don't take cash. We don't take cards. We only take secrets.
I say.
And how many drinks you get for your secret depends on what the secret is.
That's ridiculous.
She responds.
You know.
Norman says.
Chill it, Norm.
I say to the man. He looks up at me and his red-rimmed eyes blink twice before he goes back to staring into his glass.
You should go somewhere else.
I say to the woman.
This isn't the right place for you.
And how do you know what's right for me?
She asks, her voice daring me to answer. I sigh. Like I said, it's always the new customers who cause trouble.
You work in finance, but you're middle management.
I say as I look her up and down. She frowns. I smile.
Your boss has the hots for you, and you use that to your advantage. Except now, you were wondering if the new girl he hired is going to replace you in his lecherous affections.
You just named half the struggles of any woman in a corporate environment.
She says.
Your 3 friends are a doctor, a lawyer, and a school teacher.
I say. She stiffens because I've nailed it.
The school teacher is sleeping with the lawyer's husband. She can barely look the woman in the eye.
You don't.
the woman starts to say, then looks over her shoulder at her friends. When she looks back at me, I know I've got her hooked.
How can you know that?
It's my job.
I say and hook that thumb at the sign again.
I know my currency.
So all I have to do is tell you a secret and you'll give us our drinks?
She asks. I see the gears whirring in her head. I've seen those same gears whir every time someone believes they can game the system. They can't.
You tell me a secret, and your name goes in the ledger.
I say.
The ledger tells me how many drinks you will get.
I hold up my right index finger.
But those are your drinks, not your friends. If they want to drink too, then they have to tell me their own secrets.
What if we all share a secret?
She asks, thinking she's found a loophole. I've been doing this 25 years. Or is it 30? There are no loopholes.
Then each of you has to tell me the secret.
I say.
But it's the same secret.
She counters.
Is it?
Of course it is.
I don't think it is.
I say and shake my head.
That would mean our perception of reality is the same. I think we both know it isn't.
But the same secret has the same facts.
She says.
So why waste time hearing it from 4 different people?
There's a lot of assumptions in that statement.
I say, then add.
And you just said the flaw in your thinking.
Which is?
4 different people. How many people do you know who can really keep a secret?
I ask. Then I hold my finger up again before she can respond.
Give me a second, will you?
But I want to order a drink,
She says.
Do you know what secret you want to tell me?
I ask and wait. She grins big, looks over her shoulder at her friends, then looks back at me and leans across the bar.
I wet the bed until I was 13 years old,
She says. I stand there for a moment. When she doesn't continue, I say,
That's not a secret.
What? Yeah, it is. I haven't told anyone that before.
But your mother knows, and I'm sure she's told someone.
I say and walk off.
Think of another one. I'll be right back.
I'm heading for Lucinda, but swing by Mark and Terry on my way down the bar.
You folks good?
I ask the couple. Mark is in his 30s, and Terry is maybe a little bit older, early 40s or so. They just bought a condo together and haven't lived there even a full month.
I could use a refill.
Mark says and taps his pint glass. I fetch a glass and pour him a nice, tall, cold beer. The head on it is picture perfect. After setting it down in front of Mark, I smile at Terry.
Another Manhattan?
I ask her.
Make it a double.
She says.
Do you mean twice as big, or just double the bourbon?
Yes.
Is her reply, and both she and Mark laugh. They wouldn't be laughing if they knew each other's secrets, I can tell you that. I mix her drink, collect their empty glasses, then move on down the bar to Lucinda.
0 credit.
I say to the woman. She nods.
Do you have any secrets left, Lucinda?
I ask her and wipe the bar in front of her. A few drops of blood have leaked from her nose and onto the dark mahogany of the bar top. I wipe it all up as if it's no big deal. Tossing the soiled rag into a bucket of bleach water, I snag a fresh rag and throw that over my shoulder.
Come on, Lucinda,
I say.
You can't stay here unless you buy a drink. And you know what drinks cost.
No more secrets,
She says, and I can't tell if she's stating a fact or pleading with me not to have to bear one more piece of her soul.
I understand.
I say and rap my knuckles on the top of the bar.
It was good seeing you, though. Take care of yourself, okay?
When she looks up, blood is streaming down her face. It drips onto her lips, then her chin, then onto the bar. I hear the new lady gasp from back down the bar.
Is she all right?
She asks, which gets the whole bar turning Lucinda's way.
No.
I say without looking at anyone. My eyes are only for Lucinda at this moment.
I have one more secret,
Lucinda says.
I know.
I reply, not even bothering to try to wipe up the blood that's pooling on the bar top. Lucinda's throat convulses, and her lips twitch as the secret bubbles its way up and out of her mouth. I lean in close so only I can hear it.
My aunt and I used to fool around,
She says.
I liked it. A lot.
I know.
I say. She's told me this one. But I don't interrupt her. Secrets have their own timing, their own way of being told. You can't rush a secret.
I'd stay over there, and we'd do so many things to each other.
she says, continuing her journey from story to the truth.
So many things.
She swallows, and I can hear the dryness in her throat. A drink is exactly what she needs right now, but I can't serve her until she serves the ledger.
Then, one night, I ask if we can do things to someone else.
Lucinda says.
Go find a nice girl and bring her back and...
Do things, I finish for her. There's no rule against helping coax a secret along. I've gotten good at knowing the timing of these things. You can't rush a secret, but you can't let it hang back forever either. It's taken me, 30 years? 35 years to get it right?
It was fun at first,
Lucinda says.
Then not as fun. It's the screams that ruin things.
The hair on the back of my neck stands straight up, and I instinctively reach for the baseball bat I keep at this end of the bar. There's one at the other end, and 3 placed along in intervals under the main stretch of the bar. I pull my hand back, though. There's no threat around. It's just Lucinda opening a portal to a secret inside herself that has me jumpy. The blood flow from Lucinda's nose is slowing, but it hasn't stopped, so I know the secret is close. She lifts her head and stares me right in the eye.
17 girls,
she says.
We did things to 17 girls.
Her pupils dilate so wide, I'm worried they'll rip her eyes apart.
But it wasn't enough,
Lucinda says.
For who?
I ask, knowing the answer.
Me,
she replies.
I needed more. I needed a woman, not girls.
I wait. This part I can't coax out, or it will be forever lost.
I did things to my aunt like neither of us had ever done to those 17 girls.
Lucinda admits.
Until there was nothing left to do.
I nod along, encouraging her to continue. The blood has completely stopped flowing.
The hog farm, out on Route 33,
Lucinda says.
That's my aunt's last resting place. In one of those pens, her body was consumed, then shat out and pressed deep into the muck and mud by 100 cloven hooves.
Damn, I say and take a step back. I glance at the ledger and can see that Lucinda's tally is still at 0. So I go back and give her a big smile.
Then what?
She frowns. A small drop of blood appears just inside her nostril and threatens to dribble out.
I told it all,
she says.
No,
I say.
the ledger never gets it wrong.
Her face scrunches up, and for a second I think the woman is having a stroke. Then she stands up and shoves away from the bar. She turns and has gone out the ebony door before I can even call her name. I'll need to go after her, but she won't get far in her condition.
Can I order a drink now?
The new woman asks. I wipe up all of the blood from Lucinda's spot and fetch another fresh rag.
What have you got for me?
I ask the new woman. Then I extend my hand across the bar.
I'm Owen.
She looks at my hand and smirks.
You're about to tell me a true secret.
I say, my hand still out.
We should know each other's names.
Then I tilt my head toward the ledger.
And I have to write it in there anyway.
She opens her mouth, but I shake my head.
No aliases.
I say before she can speak.
Don't even try. It never works.
She licks her lips, then nods.
Angela,
She says. We shake, and I can tell she's telling me the truth. If she was lying, I'd know it from her grip. Liars always try to shake, like they can convince you of the truth by squeezing hard. Angela shakes like we're meeting at a dinner party. Like she doesn't really give a shit what my name is, but this is how you do things. It's a truly transactional shake, which is what I'm looking for when I'm testing out a new customer.
So,
I say and hold my arms out.
what have you got for me?
my ex-husband is gay.
She says. I sigh and shake my head.
Still not a secret.
I say.
How come? He has never come out.
She says.
He hasn't even told me.
Then how did you find out?
I ask.
I hired a PI to follow him.
She says.
I ended up not needing the evidence during the divorce, but I keep it in my back pocket.
So let's see if I have this straight.
I say to her.
You hire a private investigator to follow your husband, yes?
She nods.
And that PI catches him in the act with another man, right?
She nods again.
And then the PI tells you or shows you photos or whatever he does or she does. I don't want to assume.
It was a he.
She says.
So this PI, he shows you the evidence, And that's how you know your ex-husband is gay?
I continue.
Exactly.
She says. The smugness on her face is so precious that I almost don't want to knock her down. Almost.
Do you know what a secret is, Angela?
I ask her, and take a step back so I can lean against the back counter. This might take a bit,
Yes, I know what a secret is.
Angela says.
Hey, Angie.
One of her friends calls over to us.
Maybe we should go somewhere else.
It sounds like a question, but it's not. The 3 other women have decided to bail, but Angela is the top dog in the pack, so they don't want to piss her off. Hence the statement in the form of a question.
Give me a second.
Angela says in a way that tells the entire bar that she heard her friends, but she's busy talking to me, so everyone can fuck off. I'm starting to like Angela. I bet she can feed the ledger like no one else.
Okay, Mr. Smart Bartender. How about,
She says.
Owen?
I interrupt. She purses her lips, but there's a smile at the edges. She's liking the game. I can tell.
Okay, Owen. Tell me what a secret is, since you seem to be the expert.
She finishes.
A secret is something only you know, and something you don't want to tell anyone else.
I say, then take the 2 steps to the bar, lean across, get real close to her face and add,
Ever.
This throws her like I knew it would. Angela is no dummy, that's obvious. The realization is right there in her eyes. Everything she was going to tell me, thinking they'd be easy secrets to tell so she can get some free drinks. Well, all of that flies out of her head because she knows they weren't really secrets. Not like the secret I just defined. But she bounces back quickly, composes herself, then nods and smiles at me.
It was nice meeting you, Owen.
She says and backs up toward her friends.
Maybe we'll see each other again. Maybe.
I say, and nod and smile at her too. Then she whips around and shouts,
Fuck this place! Let's go find somewhere we can get sloshed and find some good dick. I'm married, Angie.
the lawyer says as they all laugh.
And you need it most, bitch.
Angela says, and they giggle and make fakey words to each other as they prance out of the bar. That's when I hear the screams. My eyes immediately go to the empty seat where Lucinda had been sitting. I suppose I should have gone after her right away, but the promise of new blood was just too good to pass up.
Shit.
I say and vault the bar, nearly kicking Norman in the head.
Watch it.
He growls. When I shove the door open, it hits one of Angela's friends in the back, the doctor, and Lucinda screams again. Hanging halfway off the sidewalk and into the gutter is Lucinda. Angela is crouching next to her.
Aren't you the doctor?
I say to the woman I just bumped.
Not that kind.
She says and covers her mouth with her hands. Damn, I wonder what secret she's got hidden deep for her to say something like that.
She's dead.
Angela says when I crouch next to her and Lucinda's body.
I know.
I say. I sigh and look down the street one way, then down the street the other way.
Help me get her inside. Are you fucking crazy?
Angela asks, but she doesn't stand up or try to move away from me. No, her eyes are locked onto mine.
You tell me.
I reply, and then ease my hands under Lucinda's armpits. It's warm and moist under there still, so I know I have a shot.
Just help, please. I can't get a signal.
The school teacher says.
There's no service here. Why?
Angela asks, still focused on me.
Angie, we need to leave.
The lawyer says.
Now. This is the bar's problem, not ours. Why?
Angela asks me again.
Because she doesn't have to die.
I say.
Not like this, please. We can't even call an Uber.
The school teacher whines.
How are we getting to the next bar? There's a phone inside.
I say loud enough for Angela's friends to hear. Then I quietly say just for her.
You're going to help me. You already know you are. Do I?
She asks.
You do.
I say.
But we're running out of time. Angie?
The doctor asks.
Okay.
Angela says and moves to get Lucinda's feet. We lift at the same time, then carry Lucinda over to the door.
Get the damn door, Nora.
Angela snaps at the doctor. The door is pulled open, and I steer us back to the bar.
On the stool?
Angela asks when she realizes what I'm trying to do.
Shouldn't we lie her down in a booth or something? She has to be right here.
I say. and get Lucinda onto her bar stool. Then I grab Angela's hands and place them on Lucinda's shoulders.
Hold her upright.
Angela nods and takes over, keeping Lucinda upright. I vault the bar again and hurry to the ledger. Lucinda's name is almost completely faded out.
Shit,
I say and mix a drink real fast. I set the drink in front of Lucinda, take a deep breath, then say,
1 G&T on the house.
Even though none of the other patrons have been talking or making any noise, the place goes dead silent. I hold a hand in the air and extend my index finger. Then I slowly lower that hand and point at Lucinda.
A half secret told is no secret at all,
I say.
Finish it, Lou.
She's dead, Owen.
Angela says, and the way my name comes out of her mouth, it's as if we've known each other forever. Just wait, I say. Lucinda's body jolts and shakes. Angela lets out a small scream and jumps back. I barely get my arms across the bar in time to grab Lucinda's shoulders before she can fall off her stool.
A half secret told is no secret at all,
I say again.
Finish it, Lou. Fucking finish it.
Lucinda's body keeps shaking and shivering. Then her eyes pop open and she looks straight through me. The memory, the secret right there, just ready to spill over. An electric shock shoots from her arms to my hands and I let go immediately.
I would go to that pig farm once a week and buy whatever they had butchered from that one pen,
she says.
The pigs ate my aunt. I ate the pigs, and I loved it.
Her whole body convulses, then she falls forward onto the bar, her head making a heavy thunking noise as flesh meets mahogany.
What the fuck?
Angela whispers. Lucinda slowly lifts her head and gives me a shy smile.
Thanks, Owen.
She says, then picks up the G&T and takes a sip.
What do I owe you?
Like I said, it's on the house,
I reply. I back up and glance at the ledger. Lucinda's name is there in dark red ink. Next to it is an infinity sign. I pick up a pen and hover over the entry.
Lucinda?
I say. She replies, sipping her drink as if nothing that has happened to her has actually happened.
You have a choice to make,
I say.
It's my fault, because I gave you a drink on the house. But fault doesn't matter. I need you to choose between staying here at the bar where you can drink as many drinks as you want for the rest of your life. No more secrets needed. Or, take that deal!
Norman cries out, then laughs a phlegmy laugh.
Or,
I say, giving Norman a harsh look.
Or you can walk back out the door and go about your life. Except you can never come back here.
Why would I do that?
She asks, still sipping the G&T. Reaching out, I put my hand on her drink and lower it from her mouth.
If you stay here, then you will be drinking here from this exact bar stool for the rest of your life,
I say.
Do you understand?
I don't think she does,
Angela says.
Quiet there,
Norman says.
This is for Lucinda.
I don't hush him because he's right. This question is only for Lucinda.
Lou,
I say.
Lou, you have to choose.
Well, I'd be stupid to pass up free drinks for life,
she says and tries to lift her glass up. I keep my hand where it is and hold the glass in place.
If you finish that drink, then that is your answer,
I say.
Or you can set the drink down and leave.
Free drinks,
Lucinda says and stares at me.
All right,
I say and remove my hand. She downs that drink so fast that I worry she's chipped her front tooth from the ice slamming into them so hard.
One more, please,
she says, and pushes the empty glass across the bar to me.
And keep them coming.
You bet,
I say. I mix the drink and hand it to her. My eyes instantly go to Norman, a man who hasn't moved from that bar stool in the 35 years I've been running the place. Or is it 40?
What?
He asks, seeing me staring. He sighs and his shoulders slump.
Yeah. I'll fill her in once she realizes what a colossal mistake she's made.
I nod thanks to him. Norman knows exactly what Lucinda is about to go through.
A mistake?
Mark asks, his beer almost empty.
What mistake?
Terry asks, her Manhattan just melted ice.
Let me get you two a couple more,
I say, and fetch Mark his beer, then mix Terry her Manhattan. A quick glance at the ledger tells me they each have maybe 3 or 4 drinks left. Hopefully, they call it a night and leave after this drink. I don't need another Lucinda situation on my hands. 1 covenant a shift is about all I can handle.
Owen,
Angela says as she walks up to the bar.
what just happened?
The confidence is still there, but the Angela I'm looking at is not the same Angela who walked through the ebony door earlier. Definitely not the same Angela who was shouting Yelp threats and waving 20s in my face.
I'll call you a cab.
I say and go to the phone. She doesn't stop me, so I make the call, then turn and smile.
It'll be here for you and your friends in 15.
I say.
Thank you,
Angela says.
but you didn't answer my question.
Nope.
I say and keep smiling.
Cleared!
Angela jumps and spins around.
What was that?
She asks.
That is Wendell.
I say.
He's our oldest customer.
From the corner booth, another
Cleared!
echoes out from the shadows. Angela squints, but she'll never see him unless she gets closer. She must realize this because she takes a step in Wendell's direction.
I wouldn't.
I say, then turn and pour a beer.
Wendell doesn't play nice with others.
With full beer in hand, I move out from behind the bar and slowly make my way to the corner booth. The shadows are thick and the smell is even thicker.
Hey, Wendell.
I say when I'm only a couple feet from the booth.
Need a beer? Cleared! That's what I thought.
I say, and set the beer down on the edge of the table. A thick tendril of flesh shoots out and wraps itself around the frosty glass. Then tendril and glass are lost from sight. Slurping noises fill the bar, and everyone pretends to ignore them. Except for Angela.
What is it?
She asks, from directly behind me. A sensation of pure satisfaction fills me, but I shake it off and take a couple steps back, bumping right into Angela. Instead of moving out of my way, she stays put and actually leans into me, her head looking over my shoulder at the booth. Son of a bitch, she's using me as a shield. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to like this woman.
That is Wendell.
I say, turning my head slightly so my cheek touches her lips.
Wendell has been here almost as long as me.
How long have you been here?
Angela asks.
Good question.
I reply. How long have I been here? Can't be more than what, 45? 50 years? Angela doesn't move when I turn around. Our faces are nearly touching. The ebony door bursts open.
Cab is here.
Nora says. I think that's her name.
Coming.
Angela says. Then after a couple of seconds, she backs away from me and moves toward the door.
Come back when you can.
I say.
I might do that.
Angela replies when she reaches the door. Then she's gone. I look about the bar at my regulars. Norman, Mark and Terry, Lucinda, of course. Then there's Muddy Joe in the green booth against the wall. He's Muddy Joe. Danny and Kevin are sitting at a high top playing rummy. Their pitcher of stout is still half full. They've been nursing that all night. I haven't checked the ledger, but they are close to out of credit, I'm sure. I have a feeling they may not come back after tonight. Good for them. And in one of the four tops are Elisa, Therese, and Paul. An untouched basket of nachos sits on the table. They all stare at the nachos. None of them will look at each other. Secrets can be hard to bear. There's some small talk buzzing in the air, but mostly silence until a bell clangs and echoes throughout the bar.
Last call.
I say and look around.
Order up. Finish up. And time to go. For some,
Norman says.
That's how it rolls, Norm.
I say. He snorts a sad laugh, then finishes off his drink and holds up the empty glass.
One for the road,
he says, and snorts that sad laugh again. I mix his rum and cola and slide it over to him. He nods, thanks.
How much do we have left?
Mark asks me as he and Terry stand up to leave.
You know I can't tell you that,
I say. Their eyes go to the ledger, but it's on the back counter, and there's no way they can read what's on the pages that are showing. Hell, they couldn't read it if their noses were in the book itself.
But are we getting close?
Mark asks. The desperation in his voice hits my heart, except rules are rules.
Maybe,
I say. Terry and Mark's eyes go to Lucinda, who is smiling pleasantly into her G&T.
You can always make a deposit,
I say, but they both shake their heads.
Suit yourselves. See you tomorrow night?
They tear their eyes away from Lucinda and glance at me.
Yeah, sure, maybe,
Mark says. But I can tell by the way Terry is gripping his arm that I may never see them again.
Well, you two be safe getting back to that brand new condo of yours,
I say with a big smile.
and I'll see you when I see you.
They leave, and Danny and Kevin aren't too far behind. Their pitcher is still half empty or half full, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, I definitely won't see them again. Muddy Joe stays, of course, just like Norman. But then I'm a little confused as Elisa, Therese, and Paul stay seated.
You guys need refills?
I ask them when I approach their table. Elisa's lips twitch, but she doesn't say anything. Paul looks up at me, and I can tell he has something on his mind. But it's Therese who speaks up.
Can we make secrets?
Therese asks.
That's a good question,
I say. They wait for me to go on, but I don't.
We'll be back,
Paul says and stands up. Elisa and Therese hesitate, then they stand and join Paul. The three of them stare at me.
You folks have a good night,
I say. They stare and stare until another bell clangs.
Closing time,
I say to them.
You don't have to go home, but if you stay here, well...
My eyes dart to Muddy Joe, then Norman, then to Lucinda. I avoid looking back at Wendell. No need to rile him up.
We'll be back,
Paul says again, and that gets them moving. When the ebony door closes, leaving me alone with Muddy Joe, Norman, Lucinda, and Wendell, I go back behind the bar. The ledger is busy tallying everything up, then it closes itself. I tuck it under the back counter for safekeeping. Not that anyone can touch it. Shit, I don't think any hands except mine have touched it in what, 50? 55 years? The bleach bucket is pink with Lucinda's blood, so I go in the back, dump it, and fill it with fresh water and half a cup of bleach. Then I go back out to the bar and do a little cleaning before I switch out the lights.
Good night, folks,
I say to the permanent regulars.
Night, Owen.
Lucinda calls out from the darkness. Norman and Muddy Joe just growl a good night. Wendell says nothing, which is fine with me. Shoving through the back door and into the always dark kitchen, I find my way to the stairs and descend up to my room. A little sleep will do me good, but then I don't think I have slept more than a wink or two since I started this job. What, 55? 60 years ago? The morning and then the days slip away before I make my way down from my room and into the kitchen. As always, the place is pitch dark, but I can see and smell the Monte Cristo sandwich waiting for me on the corner of the stainless steel table.
Thanks.
I say to no one, because there's never anyone there. Food just appears when needed. In the 65 years or 70 years I've been here, that's how it always is. Food just appears. Norman is snoring at his spot, and Muddy Joe is slumped in his booth. But Lucinda is wide awake and bright and cheery and smiling so much that she lights up the bar.
Morning,
She says. I don't tell her it's 3:45 in the afternoon.
Morning, Lou.
I say, and go behind the bar to start a pot of coffee. Once the brew is dripping darkly into the stained pot, I fish out the ledger and set it in its place on the back counter. The cover flips open, and I notice a name on the page it lands on. Angela Roberta Klein. 0 credit, but there's an asterisk next to the 0. That's different. In all my years I've been the bartender here, I've never seen an asterisk before. Before I can think too much about it, there's a knock at the ebony door. I glance at the clock.
We're closed,
I shout. There's still 5 minutes before the clock strikes 4. The knocking comes again, louder.
We don't open until 4.
I yell.
Jesus,
Norman says and lifts his head.
what's wrong with people? Rum and Coke, Norm?
I ask him, ready to mix his drink as soon as the big hand hits the 12.
You know it.
He says. The knocking doesn't stop.
Owen?
I heard a woman shout from outside. Norman looks at me. I look at Norman.
She's back soon.
Norman says and holds out a hand. The clock hits 4 p.m. and I mix his rum and not Coke, handing it to him as I go around the bar and walk toward the ebony door. I don't have to unlock it. The door knows when it's opening time. So I suppress a grin when the door bursts open and Angela nearly falls into the bar.
Holy hell!
She says, catching herself before she does a face plant now that the resistance from the door is gone. She straightens up, smooths out her jacket and blouse, and looks around.
Hey!
I say and lift a hand in greeting. She startles even though I'm only a couple of feet in front of her.
Oh, hey.
She says and smiles at me.
Welcome back.
I say and then return to my place behind the bar.
What can I get you? Some answers would be great.
She says.
I was awake all night thinking of this place.
Well, that happens.
I say, and don't bother glancing at Norman or Lucinda or Muddy Joe. Angela is already looking at them.
If I ask some questions, will you answer them?
She asks.
Probably not.
I say.
But if you tell me a secret, I'll get you a drink.
That is exactly what I have questions about.
She says, and gestures to the seat right next to Norman.
May I?
She doesn't wait for an answer and sits down.
You already did.
Norman says and finishes his drink.
Give me my twofer.
I mix his second drink. Norman still pretends that happy hour applies to him, despite an infinity sign next to his name.
Can I have an old-fashioned?
Angela says. I nod and wait.
How does this work?
She asks.
Do I just tell you the secret out loud? Or do I have to whisper it for your ears only?
That's up to you.
I say.
It really makes no difference either way. Whether you tell me or tell the whole bar, it stops being a secret once the telling is done.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of questions regarding that,
she says. I shrug.
When I was 8 years old, I stuffed an olive into my baby brother's mouth,
she said.
He almost choked to death, but my mother got the olive out before he died.
I wait. Angela eyes me, then grins and nods.
The oxygen to his brain was cut off long enough that he's had mental impairment issues ever since,
she adds. I wait.
Damn,
she says and shakes her head.
This is no joke.
Norman snorts and Lucinda cackles.
My mother has always thought it was her fault,
Angela continues.
She thought she dropped an olive, and my brother must have picked it up when he was crawling on the kitchen floor. I've never told her it was me, that I did it on purpose.
I nod and look over at the ledger. There's a number next to her name, and it isn't small. That damn asterisk is still there too, which doesn't quite settle right in my gut. But the ledger knows what it's doing. It always has for as long as I've been here.
Well, Angela Roberta Klein,
I say, and try not to laugh at the surprise on her face.
I think you understand what a secret is. An old-fashioned, you said?
Go ahead and make it 2,
she says.
Happy hour,
Norman announces and lifts his drink in the air.
Happy hour,
Lucinda echoes.
Happy fucking hour,
Muddy Joe mumbles from his booth.
Blearg!
Wendell roars from his corner.
Jesus Christ,
Angela says, and jumps and looks at me as I set her drink down in front of her.
Do you ever get used to that?
Nope,
I say.
no one gets used to Wendell. Ain't that the truth?
Norman says. Angela sips her first old-fashioned while I go ahead and mix her second. I place the glass in front of her, then walk out from behind the bar.
Hey, Wendell,
I say as I approach the corner.
what's your poison tonight? Blearg! Here it is,
I say and go fetch him a nice, tall, cold one. When I'm back behind the bar, Angela has finished both of her old-fashions.
Thirsty, I see.
I say.
Me too!
Lucinda shouts from her seat.
Inside voice, Lou.
I say.
Sorry!
She shouts.
The transition can be hard,
Norman says.
which is why you were supposed to fill her in on everything last night.
I say.
I fell asleep.
Norman says, which is bullshit. He sighs.
I'll talk to her tonight.
Transition? What does that mean?
Angela asks. I set 2 more old fashions in front of her.
Thanks.
Hello?
Norman says and shakes his empty glass at me. In seconds, he has a fresh rum and not Coke before him. He sips it, then looks from me to Angela and back.
Can I tell her?
Norman asks.
No,
I say.
but you can tell Lucinda. Tonight,
He replies.
I know.
So am I getting answers or not?
Angela asks.
Like I said, probably not.
I say and shrug.
But there's nothing stopping you from asking. Why secrets?
She asks.
Oh, she's going for it.
Norman crows and then bangs his hand on the bar.
Right to the point with this one.
I can't answer.
I start to say as I'm interrupted by a roaring,
Blearg! Blearg! Blearg!
Norman and I lock eyes, then both look over at the corner.
What's that, Wendell?
I ask.
Blearg! Blearg! Well, shit.
Norman says.
Maybe you can answer her question.
Is that what Wendell's saying?
Angela asks me.
That you can answer my questions?
Possibly, I say.
Hold on.
I go to the ledger and study Angela's entry. Her full name is there, so is that asterisk. But her tally is off. It's subtracted the drinks, sure, except the number is 1 less than her drink total. Did she just pay for an answer to her question? In the 95 years or so, or is it 100? I don't know. Anyway, in all my 50 or 60 or 80 or 100 years and some years bartending here, I've never seen the ledger account for a question the same way it accounts for secrets and drinks.
Ask it again.
I say when I turn back to Angela.
Why secrets?
She asks. I look at the ledger, but the tally stays the same. Mine and Norman's eyes meet again. He shrugs. I shrug.
That's a good question,
I say to Angela.
My guess is that secrets are individual. Unless they're shared, right?
Angela responds. A quick look at the ledger, and I see that her tally is down 1 more. Well, fuck me.
Shared secrets are a lie,
I say.
I kinda said as much last night, but I was being a dick.
He's good at that.
Norman says.
The peanut gallery may remain silent, thank you.
I say.
Peanuts!
Lucinda cries out and claps her hand.
Yummy!
A bowl of peanuts is in front of her, right next to her empty glasses.
Hold on.
I say to Angela. I refill Lucinda's drinks, then nod at the bowl of peanuts when I return.
Looks like the kitchen's open.
I say.
You want anything? How many secrets will a burger and fries cost me?
She asks. The ledger doesn't deduct for that question. Interesting,
I never really know,
I say.
but I think your tally can handle it. Are you ordering? What is my credit limit?
She asks. The ledger does deduct for that one, and I know why.
You don't need to know your tally.
Norman answers for me.
You have an even dozen drinks left,
I say.
or an even dozen questions, your choice.
What the fuck?
Muddy Joe calls out from his booth.
You can't tell her that. Yeah, you can't tell her that.
Norman says.
Apparently I can.
I say and point at the ledger.
It never lies, and it would have stopped me if I can't.
How many drinks do I have?
Norman asks.
Infinity, and you know that.
I say.
Don't be an ass.
Then I smile at Angela.
You still want that burger and fries?
Her eyes go to the ledger and I see her calculating.
Yes,
She says.
medium rare. Cheddar cheese, extra pickles, and no onions.
I'll take one of those too.
Norman says.
It's on her.
I don't think so.
Angela says.
Ah, come on.
Norman whines.
You have your own tally.
She says.
For drinks, yeah.
Norman says and lets the rest go unspoken. Angela turns on her stool and studies Norman.
When was the last time you ate?
She asks. Norman shrugs.
What does it mean if it's on me?
She asks me without looking away from Norman. Her ledger tally stays the same.
I don't know.
I say. She glances my way, but her body is still turned toward Norman.
Honest, the kitchen has a mind of its own. Then make that 2 burgers.
She says.
And fries.
Norman adds.
I heard him.
I say before Angela can speak.
It'll be right up.
I'm having peanuts.
Lucinda announces. Muddy Joe rips a loud fart in response.
That was uncalled for,
Angela says. A bell dings, and I leave the bar and walk back into the dark kitchen. 2 baskets sit at the end of the make table, burgers and fries. When I set them in front of Norman and Angela, Norman rips into his like he hasn't eaten in decades, which sounds about right, since I've never seen him eat in the 105 or so years I've been working here.
Great burger,
Angela says after taking a huge bite. She chews, swallows, then nods at the dark kitchen.
Who's the cook?
The ledger tally drops by 1.
Not a clue,
I say.
The kitchen is always dark.
But someone is back there cooking.
She says around another bite. She closes her eyes.
Shit, this is good.
Best burger ever,
Norman says.
Can I get some nachos?
Muddy Joe asks.
Get the man some nachos.
Angela says.
My treat.
The bell from the kitchen dings almost instantly. I fetch and deliver Muddy Joe's nachos.
Now I have questions.
I say to no one in particular.
What's that?
Angela asks as she stuffs some fries in her mouth.
This.
I say, and point to her and Norman, then over at Muddy Joe.
This is different. I've never seen someone able to order food for the permanent customers.
About that.
She says, and leans back as she takes a break from her burger and fries.
What happened last night with Lucinda? Why'd you bring her back in here? How did she come back to life? Because I know she was dead. And why is she now a permanent customer?
The ledger considers all of her questions a single one. Again, interesting.
Okay, well, what happened last night was Lucinda died.
I say, and wait for the shock to set in.
I know,
Angela says, frowning.
Right, well,
I stumble and stutter. I'm not used to being on the receiving end of questions like this.
I couldn't let her fully expire outside the bar. If she did that, then she'd become a ghost.
Norman says as he shoves his empty basket at me.
What he said.
I say to Angela.
and that would be bad because...
She asks.
You're not freaked out by the ghost part?
I respond.
Oh, I'm freaked out by all of this.
She says, and holds up the last bite of burger before popping it into her mouth.
Except, so far today I've been served drinks because I told a secret. A kitchen with no one in it has made me food, and the woman sitting at the end of the bar there died before my eyes last night. Yes, I am freaked out, but I am more curious than scared. Why?
I ask, and a searing pain shoots through my head.
Fuck!
I have to lean against the back counter and close my eyes for a second.
You good, Owen?
Norman asks.
Yeah.
I finally say when the pain subsides.
That was weird. It's a theme here,
Angela says.
Back to the ghosts. Why would Lucinda becoming one be a bad thing?
Because ghosts have unfinished business.
I say.
And they're chatty.
Really chatty.
Norman says.
They tell everyone who comes by what their unfinished business is.
I continue.
Which means they spill their secrets. If they spill secrets already told to the ledger, then it weakens the bar. How does it do that?
She asks.
That I don't know,
I answer.
but I've been here close to 110 or 120 years, and I've watched it happen more than a few times. Really messes with the place. Wait, how long have you worked here?
Angela asks. I realize I've said too much and I clear my throat.
A while.
She eyes me, smiles, then shakes her head.
That's all right. I don't need an answer to that one. Yet.
I clear the baskets and set them in a bus tub under the bar. Angela suddenly sits up, then looks at the ebony door.
Are there ghosts out there now? From other times people have died?
She asks. Her tally drops by 1 again. I sigh.
Yes,
I say.
but you can't see them yet.
Gotta wait for the witching hour.
Norman says.
Midnight?
Angela responds.
That's a common misconception.
Muddy Joe calls out from his booth.
The witching hour is between 2 and 3 in the morning.
And we close before that.
I say.
2 on the dot.
But the law doesn't require you to close until 4.
Angela says.
That's not up to me.
I say and nod at the ledger.
Wow. This is fascinating.
Angela says and shrugs.
Can I get 2 more?
Burgers or drinks?
I ask.
Burgers!
Norman says.
Drinks.
Angela responds. I mix her drinks and set them before her just as the ebony door opens. Therese walks in, and if I wasn't a seasoned professional, my jaw would be on my chin. She's covered in blood.
Therese?
I ask.
You good?
She walks over to the bar, nodding the whole way.
I killed someone.
She blurts out.
Stabbed them over and over.
Her eyes go to the ledger. I follow her gaze and take a peek. Then I shake my head.
Someone already knows that.
I say.
Oh, right. Yes.
She replies and grips the edge of the bar.
Where'd you put the body?
Angela asks.
Does anyone know that? Oh, right. Right, sure.
Therese says.
It's in the trunk of my car.
Her name blazes with fire, and Therese's tally goes up by 6 drinks.
Did that work?
Angela asks. I nod. Her tally goes down by 1.
What would happen if I go out there and look in the trunk of her car?
Angela asks. No change to her tally.
Would her drinks go away?
Nope.
I say.
The secret's been told, and the ledger has noted it. We could all go look and it wouldn't make a difference.
Then why do ghosts telling their secrets again and again matter?
She asks. Her tally drops again.
Fuck if I know.
I say, and that pain hits me once more. I can hear the others talking to me, but their words are muffled like I'm deep underwater. Then the pain stops and I roll my head on my neck a few times. When I look up, everyone is staring at me.
What can I get you?
I ask Therese.
Margarita on the rocks.
She says and sits down next to Norman.
There are a lot of other seats in this place,
he says, looking from Therese to Angela and then to me. Angela's eyes are on me the entire time I mix Therese's drink. When I place the margarita in front of the blood-covered woman, Angela swivels in her stool and leans past Norman.
May I look at your trunk?
She asks.
Seriously?
Norman complains, but I don't know if he's complaining about Angela's question or the fact the woman is in his space.
I don't care,
Therese says and downs her margarita. She taps the empty glass.
Keep them coming, and add more tequila next time.
I do as she says. Angela leans back, then stands up. She goes around Norman and holds out a hand.
Your keys?
She asks.
It's unlocked,
Therese says.
You can pop the trunk from inside the car. What are you doing?
I ask, and that pain slams me again. I drop Therese's drink, but luckily the glass hits the mat and doesn't break.
I'll get you another one.
Me too,
Angela says as she hurries to the ebony door.
I'll be right back.
Once the ebony door closes, Norman starts to laugh.
She's a different breed, that's for sure,
He says.
Yeah.
I reply and rub at my temples. The pain hasn't fully gone away this time. The ebony door opens and Mark and Terry walk in.
Hey,
Mark says as he walks to the bar. Terry hangs back by the door.
you coming?
Mark asks as he sits down.
No,
Terry says, then flees. Mark looks stunned.
You going after her or what?
Norman asks.
Leave them alone, Norm.
I say.
yeah, of course I'm going after her.
Mark says, then smiles at me.
Right after my 2 drinks.
2 beers coming up.
I say and pour him the beers. He downs one right away, then smacks his lips. When he picks up the second beer, he tips it in my direction.
Gotta love happy hour.
Happy hour!
Lucinda shouts. The ebony door opens again and Mark gives me a sly smile.
I knew she'd come back.
No, you didn't.
I say and nod my chin at the door. He turns and frowns. Angela is standing there, not Terry. Her chest is heaving and a wicked smile is on her face.
She wasn't lying.
She says.
Who was it?
Mark asks.
Therese here said she killed someone and stuffed their body in her trunk.
She replies and hurries over to the bar where I have her drinks waiting. That's when Mark finally takes in Therese's appearance.
Is that blood?
He asks. He sets his unfinished beer down and stands up.
I gotta go.
He sprints from the bar, and as the ebony door closes, I can see the sun has already set. A bell chimes.
Happy hour is over.
I say. Everyone groans.
Sorry, that's just how it is.
Wait, it can't be 6 already.
Angela says.
I've barely been here.
Don't think about it too hard.
Norman says.
Shit. Okay, I have to hurry then.
Angela says. She downs her drink without sitting down, then pulls out her phone.
Shit, no service. Okay, I'm going for a walk until I have bars.
Then she's gone before any of us can say a word.
She'll be back,
Norman says.
I can tell.
Maybe, I say.
This feels different though.
Me too!
Lucinda screeches at the top of her lungs. I jab a finger at Norman.
Yeah, I know.
He says.
I'll get her straightened out tonight.
Good, I say. The rest of the night is uneventful. A few new folks come in, but they leave the second I try to explain the sign to them. Some people just don't understand the barter system, I guess. By the time the last call bell clangs, Angela hasn't returned, and I'm bushed. I am definitely not waiting for her. Not that I can. I'm dead on my feet. I don't know if I've ever been this tired in my life, or whatever this existence is. The next day, I see a huge breakfast waiting for me in the kitchen. Eggs, bacon, toast, pancakes, a parfait with fruit and yogurt and granola, a blueberry muffin and a cheese Danish.
Okay,
I say and go back to pick the food up. But the plates won't budge. It's like they're glued to the make table. So I eat it right there, standing up in the kitchen. When it's gone, I burp loudly, leaving the kitchen and the dirty dishes behind.
Thanks.
I say to no one in the kitchen. A dish rattles in response as the door closes behind me.
Morning.
Lucinda says, and her tone is not the manic, cheery tone from yesterday.
you talk to her.
I say to Norman. He nods.
I'll take a cup of coffee when it's ready.
He says.
Coffee? You?
I reply.
With a shot of Jameson's in it, of course.
He adds.
There we go.
I say and laugh. My laughter is fractured, and Norman picks up on it.
What's biting your butt?
He asks.
Nothing. Bullshit.
I glance at the dark kitchen and tell him about the breakfast I just ate. He muses as he drinks his Irish coffee.
A lot of different things are happening here lately.
The thing is, the breakfast wasn't the weirdest part of everything.
I say.
Is it that you keep calling it breakfast when it's almost 4 in the afternoon?
Do you want to hear this or not?
Sorry, do tell.
Last night, I actually slept, and I think I even dreamed.
I continue.
In the 115 or 120 years I've been here, I've never slept, and I sure as hell have never dreamed.
What did you dream about?
He asks.
I'm not sure.
I reply and think for a second.
A road? A dirty road?
Are you telling me or asking me?
Both?
What do you think it means?
Before I can respond, the ebony door opens and Angela comes striding in. But she's not alone. In her wake are 3 men, all dressed in suits that have to cost a small fortune apiece.
Owen!
Angela cries and hurries over to the bar. She gives Norman a nudge with her elbow.
Norm!
Weird lady.
Norman says and sips his Irish coffee. Angela laughs and looks back at the 3 men, who are all trying not to look disgusted by their surroundings.
This is Owen,
She says to the men.
he's the bartender and
She looks at me and frowns.
the manager?
Pain nearly rips my skull apart and I gasp. The 3 men each take a step back.
Sorry,
I say as Angela stares at me.
been getting headaches lately.
Yep, different things are happening.
Norman says under his breath.
Anyway,
Angela says and waves the 3 men over. They reluctantly approach the bar.
Owen, I want you to meet the partners of my firm, Mr. Baptiste, Mr. Price, and Mr. Simon.
One by one, they extend their hands, and I give each a shake. Then they just stand there, eyes wary, their posture telling me they'd rather be anywhere but here.
What can I get you fellas?
I ask.
Vodka martini, dry, 2 olives.
Baptiste says.
Sazerac.
Price says.
Vodka tonic with lime.
Simon says.
You didn't say Simon says.
I say to Simon. He does not laugh.
Right. Drinks coming up. But first,
I do the hook the thumb over my shoulder at the sign thing and wait. The three men read the sign, then they look at Angela.
You were serious.
Price says.
I was.
Angela says.
I am.
So, let me get this straight.
Simon says.
I tell you a secret and you give me a drink?
Is that it?
Is it a one-for-one transaction?
Baptiste asks.
Secrets are worth what secrets are worth.
I say and cock my head toward the ledger.
It decides, not me.
That?
Baptiste says and laughs as he points at the ledger.
You want us to believe that a book makes the decisions?
He laughs again, and the other two join in. My eyes fall on Angela.
What's going on?
I ask her.
I was talking to the partners, and I think this bar would make a great acquisition.
She says with a huge grin on her face.
What do you think?
I go to answer, and the pain hits me one more time, but twice as intense.
Owen? What's wrong?
Angela asks.
My head.
I say and pinch the bridge of my nose.
Man, this is strange. Gonna need another here when you have time, Owen.
Lucinda says, her voice icy cold. I look over at her, and she's staring daggers at the three men who have definitely noticed and are trying hard to ignore her. When I set her drink down, I turn and lean against the counter.
Who's first?
I ask the men.
Can we write them down?
Baptiste asks.
No,
I say.
you have to say the secret out loud.
All three look very uncomfortable.
Can we speak in private?
Price asks me.
If your friends want to walk away, sure.
I say. Price glances at Norman, then Lucinda.
And them?
They have to stay where they are.
I say.
Why?
He asks.
Because that's how it works.
I say.
I don't make the rules, I just enforce them.
My head screams with pain, and I fall to my knees behind the bar. It feels as if something wants out. Like a secret,
Maybe we should come back.
Baptiste says.
No, this is good.
Simon says. Slowly, I pull myself back to my feet and frown at the three men as they huddle and whisper. Angela gives me a look that is a mix of worry, embarrassment, and excitement. I barely smile at her. When the three men break their huddle, Baptiste leans across the bar and says quietly,
I cheated on my wife in Paris last week.
I don't even have to glance at the ledger.
Nope,
I say.
not a secret.
He leans back, offended.
Excuse me? I haven't told anyone that.
Was someone else there when you cheated?
I ask. His eyes go wide, and he looks at his partners, then back at me.
Well, yes, of course.
He says.
Have you heard the old adage that one makes a secret, two makes a conspiracy?
I say to him, but don't wait for a reply, and add,
The person you cheated with knows, so it's not really a secret. I told you there were strict rules,
Angela says.
You told us you saw huge potential for an investment like this,
Simon says.
and I am not seeing it. You just witnessed it.
Angela says and gives me a wink.
I'll have an old-fashioned, please, Owen.
I mix her drink and hand it to her. The ledger docks her half a drink. Happy hour. Angela smiles, then turns to the partners as she sips her drink.
Mr. Baptiste, sir, you wanted privacy, which is understandable for a transaction such as this,
She says.
So how about we install soundproof privacy booths along that wall?
She points at the far wall close to the kitchen.
Blearg!
Wendell sits over there.
I say.
What is that?
Price asks, his voice filled with disgust as he tries to peer into the corner's shadows.
Wendell,
Norman snaps.
aren't you listening, douchebag?
Norm,
I warn.
be nice to the new customers.
Norman shrugs and finishes off his Irish coffee. He holds out the mug, and I refill it quickly.
So you want to add an expense to the bar?
Baptiste asks Angela.
Purchasing the booths, maintaining and cleaning them. Not to mention making sure they are safe and soundproof without being airtight.
Wouldn't want customers to suffocate.
Simon says.
The insurance costs alone.
Price adds.
Are you ordering drinks or not?
I snap. Angela gives me a sharp look. I give it right back. Who does she think she is? Where does she think she is?
Ah, fuck it.
Simon says with a laugh.
I ate my boogers until I was 11.
That's rarely a secret.
I say and glance at the ledger. I'm actually surprised when the man's name appears with enough credit for 3 drinks in his tally.
Well, Thomas Quigley Price. You get some drinks. How do you know my full name?
Price asks. I mix him a Sazerac and set it on the bar.
I don't know anything,
I say.
The ledger knows.
The pain is so bad that I want to scream. What is happening? My name echoes around me until I'm able to focus, and I see Norman leaning over the bar, snapping his fingers at me.
You should close up and take the day off,
he says. Weakly and painfully, I chuckle.
In the 150 or 175 years I've worked here, I've never taken a day off,
I say to him. The partners had been huddling together, talking about Price's Sazerac, then glancing about the place. They stop and look at me after I say what I just said.
I'm sorry,
Baptiste says.
Did you say you have worked here for 175 years?
The 3 men laugh. Angela only looks helpless as she finishes her drink and gestures for another. The front door opens and Terry shuffles in, covered in blood. Terry sits at the bar and looks over at the ledger. Then she whispers so low that I can't hear her. The ledger does nothing. She frowns and whispers again. Still nothing. Her eyes finally find me.
Spill it,
I say to her.
Mark is buried in Grace Park.
Terry says.
I don't know if he's alive or dead.
Nothing in the ledger.
Are you sure?
I ask. She bursts into tears.
He's dead!
She shrieks at the top of her lungs.
Jesus!
Norman says.
There are other ways to make secrets than murder, you know. May I get another?
Price asks me and clinks the ice in his empty glass.
Sure,
I say and mix him another Sazerac. I mix Terry a Manhattan and slide it over to her. She nods and picks it up, but doesn't sip. Angela pushes away from the bar and steers the partners to a high top. She keeps her voice low, but I can still hear her.
This place is addictive,
she says, and holds up a hand before the partners can protest.
And I don't just mean for alcoholics. I mean, once you get your name in that ledger, it's like you never want to leave. You want to come back again and again, telling all your secrets so you can get your drinks and just exist without worry or burden.
Bryce sips his Sazerac, then holds up the glass.
I have to say, this is the best Sazerac I've ever had. Who knew a dive like this could even make a Sazerac?
The dive didn't make it. I did,
I say, and the pain threatens to hit me. I can feel it, but it backs off.
Fine, I'll try again.
Baptiste says and walks over to the bar.
The kitten I had when I was 6 didn't run away.
He swallows hard, looks over his shoulder at the other partners, then turns and focuses on the ledger.
I took it to the swamp by our house and threw it in for the alligators to eat because I didn't want to take care of it anymore. Fuck,
Norman says.
That's some cold shit. Norm!
I hiss at him. He shrugs and grimaces down at his Irish coffee. The ledger blazes bright, and Edward Blumberg Baptiste's name appears with a whopping 37 as his tally.
1 vodka martini, dry with 2 olives,
I say, when I finish mixing his drink and hand it to him. He sips, and his entire face lights up.
No, you have to tell this man a secret and get a drink,
Baptiste says to Simon.
I told you,
Angela says.
Now, I don't know who the owner is, but...
Her voice slips away, and all I see are black spots around me. My skull squeezes in on my brain, the pain a slow, growing throb instead of the intense stabbing from before.
I do,
I say. Everyone looks at me.
What was that, Owen?
Angela asks.
Did you say you know who the owner is?
I'd hope so.
Bryce says and laughs.
Someone signs your paychecks, right?
I don't get paid.
I say, and the throbbing pain slows, then stops.
I never have.
And how long have you worked here?
Baptiste asks, smiling over the rim of his martini glass.
100 years, was it?
They all laugh.
267.
I say, then shake my head.
348.
I shake my head again.
No. 450. 600. 722.
Calm yourself there, bud,
Norman says to me. Simon walks to the bar and sneers.
I take it you don't get vacation days.
The partners laugh. Simon sets his forearms on the bar, then leans toward me.
I put my mother in the cheapest nursing home I could find because she used to molest me when I was little. But now she has dementia and doesn't remember, so it's nothing but torture in that awful place,
he says. Then he stands straight and blinks a few times.
That wasn't the secret I meant to tell.
The ledger gets what the ledger wants,
Lucinda says, and holds up a full G&T, which I don't even remember making for her.
Vodka tonic with lime,
Simon says to me.
What?
I reply, my head fuzzy.
Vodka tonic with lime,
he says again, then looks over his shoulder at Angela and the partners.
We may need to talk about different staffing.
I mix the drink and give it to him. He sips, then nods.
Not bad at all,
he says.
Maybe we put this guy on as head trainer. He teaches a team of bartenders to make drinks like he does. Just that alone will bring them in.
We can expand beyond this location,
Angela says.
Maybe franchise.
The agony is so much that I hear my vertebrae crack as my entire spine and neck tense up.
No, I think we go a different route,
Baptiste says, sipping happily at his Sazerac.
We buy up the whole block. Whole block,
Price says, then hums under his breath for a moment.
Yes, I see where you're going. With an anchor like this place, we could put in shops and restaurants and apartments. Turn this industrial wasteland into a vibrant, youth-oriented neighborhood that people will kill to be a part of.
Norman snorts and side-eyes Terry.
They already do,
he says.
What kind of resistance would we be up against?
Simon asks Angela.
Have you done a resident analysis yet? See if we're dealing with any bleeding hearts who want things to stay the same? If we do this, I don't want us to be on the news because people are picketing our office with signs about no gentrification.
I haven't done a full analysis, no,
Angela replies.
I only discovered this place a couple of days ago, and I wanted to get you three in here right away so we don't miss out on its potential.
My eyes are crossed and my vision swims as they keep talking about return on investment and starting capital and rolling contracts with service providers and rezoning and all of that crap.
Owen?
Norman asks, but his voice is a million miles away. Angela laughs, and it's like a knife tip being dragged across an iron fence. The happy hour bell rings.
And that!
Angela exclaims.
Does it feel like we've been here 2 hours?
The partners all agree. It does not feel like they've been here 2 hours.
Wait until they've been here forever,
Norman says, then shoves his mug in my direction.
You up for getting me a refill, or is your head going to fall off first?
The world snaps back into place, and I gasp. Again, everyone looks over at me.
I'll talk to the owner,
I say. The three partners give each other looks, then focus on Angela.
Well, all right then,
Baptiste says, his eyes still on Angela.
We'll have Angela be our point person for this. She can work out the details with the owner, and then we'll go from there.
No, I say. This happens tomorrow.
What?
Price asks.
Tomorrow?
Simon scoffs and finishes his drink.
We'll need time to go over land titles and see if there are any liens on the property and all that shit.
I interrupt.
There aren't. We also need to find the owners of the other properties and sniff out if they're willing to sell,
Baptiste says.
And at what price?
Price adds.
No need,
I say and rub my temples.
It's the same owner.
It is?
Angela asks.
You know that for sure?
Yes?
I reply because I do. And I don't.
I'm not wrong, but I'm not sure why I'm right either. That doesn't sound too convincing,
Simon says.
Hey, don't we get 2-for-1 drinks?
Price asks.
Happy hour is over,
Norman says.
You only got dinged half a drink.
He lifts his mug toward the ledger.
It knows, don't worry. Amazing,
Baptiste says.
We'll have to figure out how to duplicate that thing. I want one in every business. You mean we turn the whole neighborhood into a barter economy?
Price asks, confused.
There's no profit in that. Oh, but there is,
Baptiste says.
The currency is staring us in the face.
He points up at the sign.
We sell the secrets. Oh, damn.
Simon says.
And if every single business barters goods for secrets, then we are rolling in secrets,
Price says.
I know I'd pay a good amount not to have mine known. And I'd pay even more to know what others are saying,
Baptiste says.
That's not how it works.
I say. The edge of the headache has dulled, and I'm starting to feel better. A lot better.
Oh? And how does it work?
Baptiste asks.
Explain it to me. Tomorrow,
I say.
I'll explain it as we sign papers tomorrow.
That works for me,
Angela says.
I'll have papers drawn up and come by when you open. You and I can talk it all through, and then sign on the dotted lines.
No.
I say.
What?
Baptiste asks and looks at Angela.
What do you mean?
Angela asks.
You just said the deal can be done tomorrow.
I mean, no, not just you.
I reply.
All of you will be here tomorrow when the bar opens. We'll all sign. Angela is perfectly capable of representing us,
Baptiste says.
She has full authority to sign documents for the firm. I am sure she does,
I say.
but all of you are in the ledger, so all of you need to sign with me. Yes, well, I understand you believe you have certain rules, but...
Price begins to say.
Blearg!
Wendell roars from the corner, shutting everyone up.
All of you, tomorrow.
I say and go to fix Lucinda a fresh G&T.
That's the deal.
The three men stare at me. Then they look at each other. Then they look at Angela. I see a small nod from Baptiste.
Fine,
Angela says to me.
it's a deal.
Do you know what the owner's asking price is?
Simon asks.
You'll find out tomorrow.
I say.
That's not how this works.
Price says and smirks as he throws my own words back at me.
I'll stick around and see if I can get things settled.
Angela says and pushes back from the high top.
I'll see you all back at the office in the morning. Sound good?
Make it happen.
Baptiste says. Those who haven't finished their drinks do so. Then the partners nod to me and walk out the door. Once they're gone, Angela approaches the bar.
What's going on?
She asks me.
What do you mean?
I reply and fix Terry a new drink. She doesn't even acknowledge me when I set the Manhattan in front of her.
When I first came in here, you were confident and sure of yourself.
She replies and holds out her arms.
You were sure of this place. Now you seem confused, and frankly, a little more than off.
You cuckoo.
Norman says. I ignore him and shake my head.
I don't know. Something is changing.
What does that mean?
She asks.
Something is changing with you? With the bar?
Her eyes go to the back counter.
With the ledger? Yes?
I reply, giving her another non-committal answer.
Do you think the owner will agree to the deal?
She asks.
Or are you bullshitting me and my bosses? Is that it? Are you trying to run a con on us or something? You came in here.
I say.
I didn't ask you to offer a deal.
I never mentioned this place is for sale. Well, is it?
She snaps.
Blearg!
Wendell roars.
That sounds like a yes.
Norman says. Angela's eyes go wide.
Wendell isn't the owner, is he? Or it? Or whatever Wendell is?
No,
I say.
but Wendell is rarely wrong.
Norman nods in agreement.
Hear me.
Muddy Joe shouts from his booth.
Are you just waking up?
Norman yells over his shoulder.
Yeah, what'd I miss?
He asks.
I'm not filling him in.
Norman says. I pour Muddy Joe's beer and take it to him. When I return to the bar, Angela reaches across and grabs my arm. The ledger flashes bright red, and she quickly yanks her hand back.
Ow!
She says and rubs her palm.
That burns.
Norman looks at me and then at the ledger.
When was the last time it did that?
I don't know.
I say and rub the spot on my arm where Angela had grabbed me.
Maybe 600 or 700 years ago? 1,000?
I wasn't here then.
Norman says.
Neither was I.
I say.
Neither was the ledger. We came over from...
I shake my head, the thought lost.
What do you think the price is?
Angela asks.
I need a ballpark for the paperwork. We can adjust and initial tomorrow when we sign, but I need something. I don't know,
I say and look at the ledger.
but I think I will tomorrow.
Angela stares at me for a few seconds, then nods.
Well, this deal will be different.
She says, then looks from Norman to Lucinda to me. She avoids looking at Terry.
I'll see you all tomorrow then.
Looking forward to it.
Norman says and lifts his mug.
Tomorrow.
I say. Angela hesitates, then smiles at me and pats the bar.
Tomorrow.
She says and leaves. The second she's gone, Norman's eyebrows go straight up and he cocks his head at me.
I don't know.
I say.
They're ready to buy the whole neighborhood because you mixed some great drinks?
He says, but doesn't wait for my response.
Different has turned into bizarre. It's always bizarre.
Muddy Joe yells.
What bar have you been drinking in? Blearg! Yeah, you've got a point.
Norman says. He taps his mug. I refill it. He sips.
So do you think the owner will really sell?
Yes.
I say with complete confidence, even though I have no clue if it's true or not.
Who is the owner?
Terry asks, her voice small and lost. The ebony door opens and 2 police officers walk in. They see Terry instantly and march over to her.
Mrs. Pleasant?
One of the officers says.
You are under arrest for... Hey, let's get a drink first.
The other officer says. The first officer looks at his partner and frowns.
Are you kidding me?
He asks the second officer, who is busy staring up at the sign over the bar.
Drinks for secrets,
The second officer says.
Secrets for drinks. Huh,
Norman says.
I never realized you could reverse the equation.
Equals means equals.
Lucinda says. I refill her drink.
Am I under arrest?
Terry asks, without looking at the officer.
After I have a bourbon, neat.
The second officer says.
And you?
I ask the first officer. He's struggling, but it's only a couple of seconds before he says,
What do you have on tap?
I tell him. He nods. The 2 officers sit down next to Terry and tell me their secrets. They have a lot, and the ledger lights up like a fireworks display. It's hours before they leave, and they don't take Terry with them.
Police have never come in here before,
Norman says.
Blearg! Nope, those were Halloween costumes that time, Wendell.
Norman says.
Blearg! No, he's right.
Muddy Joe chimes in.
Those were Halloween costumes.
Blearg.
Hey, does the ghost thing only work around here? Or is Mark now a ghost in that park?
Norman asks.
He'd be a ghost where he was killed.
Lucinda says.
All his secrets were spoken and finished.
Terry says. I take a look in the ledger, and Mark's name is gone. The last call bell clangs, and I have never been so glad to hear it in my 3,000 years running this bar. Terry is the only one to leave. Hell, she's the only one who can leave. When she's gone, I do a quick cleanup, including mopping the floor.
Making it pretty for the new owners?
Norman says.
Good idea. That'll jack up the price a bit. It's not about price,
I say.
It's about secrets.
Lucinda says. Then her head falls onto the bar, and she starts snoring.
Night,
I say and walk back to the kitchen.
Blearg! Night, Owen.
Norman says.
See you tomorrow.
I sleep like the dead again, and I dream. When I wake up and come downstairs, the breakfast before me is twice the size of the day before. I finish it, standing there, then go out into the bar to get the place ready. The coffee pot burbles as I arrange a table for 5 people. I fix the regulars their drinks, then wait for the bell to sound. It does, and the ebony door unlocks, letting Angela and the partners in. We all take a seat.
Angela says you wouldn't venture a guess at a price.
Baptiste says to me as he takes a thick stack of papers out of a briefcase and sets them in front of me as he taps at a blank line at the top of the first page.
I get playing hardball, but we need a price. Now.
Okay, I say as my dreams from last night come rushing back to me. And suddenly I get it. I get it all. I pull the papers to me, write a number on that line, then push the stack of papers back to Baptiste. He reads the number and frowns. Then he points at the line so his partners can read it.
Seriously?
Price asks. Angela leans forward so she can see the number 2 and gasps.
Owen, that can't be right.
She says.
It is.
I say.
Do you need to talk to the owner again just to be sure?
Angela asks, then looks over at the bar.
Or check with the ledger?
The ledger is good with all of this.
I say because it's true. Because I remember my secret.
I'll show you.
I say and take the papers back. I flip to the last page and sign.
You are authorized to sign for the owner?
Price asks.
I am the owner.
I say because it's true. And I have plans. Angela gives me one last look, then shrugs and nods to the partners. They almost claw over each other in order to sign the stack of papers. When they're done, they literally high-five each other.
This is great.
Angela says and reaches for the stack of papers.
We're not done.
I say to Angela.
You need to sign too.
Me? Oh, right. Your terms from yesterday.
Angela says and flips to the last page. She signs in a rush.
And done. We should celebrate.
I will, for sure.
I say and stand up.
But you all have a lot of work to do. We certainly do,
Simon says.
but a celebratory drink first.
I laugh and nod down at the table. The stack of papers is gone. In its place is a stack of ledgers. 3 large, like the one behind the bar, and 1 small, almost like a journal.
What is this?
Baptiste asks, tapping the stack of ledgers.
Does each business get one? Perfect.
Norman laughs from the bar.
Now I get it. This is yours.
I say to Baptiste and take one of the large ledgers from the pile and hand it to him.
And this is yours. And this is yours.
Each partner has a ledger. I smile at Angela.
You know where yours is.
I gesture toward the ebony door, and the 3 partners stand, dazed, confused, excited, terrified, their individual ledgers clutched to their chests. They walk with me to the door, and I open it and step outside. The partners join me.
The hotel.
I say and point at the derelict building across from the bar. It won't stay derelict for long. Price smiles at me, walks across the street, and is lost from sight as he slips through an ebony door.
The restaurants.
I say to Baptiste and gesture toward the north end of the block. Baptiste smiles at me and walks down the street, then is lost from sight as he rounds the corner.
The shops.
I say to Simon and gesture in the opposite direction. Simon smiles at me and walks down the street, then is lost from sight as he rounds that corner. I take a deep breath, letting the evening air fill my lungs. Then I turn around and go back through the bar's ebony door.
Hey, boss. Fix you a drink?
Angela asks from behind the bar.
I'll have a Mexican beer with lime.
I say as I approach the bar, then sit down next to Norman.
There are bottles in the bottom cooler down at the end.
Coming right up.
Angela says, then fetches my beer for me. She pours it into a glass and plops a lime on the rim.
Anything else?
Nope, I think I'm good.
I say and take a sip. It's the best beer I've ever tasted.
Different.
Norman says and looks at the top of my head.
Not really.
I say as a distant memory from thousands of years ago fills my mind. A memory of me on a dirt track that was used as a road. A memory of me screaming at the gods over some slight. A memory of me terrified when a man, a thing, a something with great horns appeared with a ledger in its hands. A memory of me signing that ledger. A memory of the creature tearing its horns off its head and pushing them deeply into my skull until they are gone from sight. A memory of me wandering until I found a hut. A memory of me killing everyone in that hut. A memory of me turning that hut into an establishment where the ledger could flourish and grow. A memory of me moving from place to place as the world changed. A memory of me coming to this land and opening this bar a couple of centuries ago. A memory of me forgetting everything. A memory of me slowly remembering it all after Angela stepped into the bar.
What's that?
Norman asks as I set the small ledger on the top of the bar.
My new business.
I say, and open it to show him 4 names. Edward Blumberg Baptiste, Thomas Quigley Price, Noel Corvin Simon, and Angela Roberta Klein.
Business is more like. Cool.
Norman says.
How's it feel to have all this power? It feels great.
I say and sip my beer.
I bet.
Norman says and gives me a wry smile.
Success looks good on you. Thanks. It matches those horns you're sporting on your head.
He says and looks up at the top of my head.
Are those new?
Nah, I've had these for millennia.
I say and give them a quick stroke.
They were just a secret.
Well, they look good on you.
Norman says and holds up his drink.
Cheers!
Cheers.
I say.
Cheers!
Lucinda shouts.
Cheers!
Muddy Joe adds.
Cheers.
Angela says, and I watch a tear stream down her cheek as she stares at me.
Thanks.
I say to all of them and then down my beer. I slap the bar.
Another, please, and keep them coming. I'm in the secret business, and business just got real fucking good. Blearg! Thanks, Wendell.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoy these stories, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and check out some more of my episodes here.